Undo, I'll give you the opportunity to introduce our special guest.
I've been knowing this guy for a while. Like we said the other week, he's done it the right way. He's climbed the ladder in the black college football. He's a black college graduate. He's been an assistant coach. He's been a coordinator. He's coached under some of the greatest coaches that coach in the SWAC. And it's his time. You know, he's one of them guys that waited in line and it is time. And he is on the clock.
And it's none other than the current newly hired Southern head coach, Terrence Graves. Coach Graves, I want to thank you for joining the show tonight. I know you're a very busy man, and but has it slowed down any, Coach, since you were appointed? What was it, last Thursday?
Approved last Thursday, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So has it slowed down any?
Not at all. It's picked up quite a bit, but that's to be expected. But I mean, it's a blessing to have this opportunity to be the head football coach at Southern University. As Coach Johnnie Cole said, you know, I've been doing it for a long time. I've been at it for 31 years, and you know, it came at the right time. People say it's long overdue. I always say it happened when it was supposed to happen.
Oh, well, hey, that's a great attitude to have, Coach.
You know,
now,
Coach, I know you've been bouncing around in the SWAC league, and like I said earlier, you coached under some great coaches, and you've probably been passed up on a couple of jobs, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've had some jobs that passed me by in the SWAC, and the MEAC, CIAA, SIAC, you know, but you know, and then I've also turned down some jobs as well, you know, because I always say I never wanted to be a head coach just for the sake of being a head coach. You know, I commend those coaches that take some of those jobs that may not be the best jobs and they feel like it's a challenge. But also I looked at it as a standpoint of, you know, I'm a winner. So, and I've been winning all my life. So I don't want to just take a job just to be taking the job, because sometimes if you're not able to turn that corner or make a dent in that program, then it goes against you, unfortunately, for the rest of your career. So I was very calculated, very patient. Yeah, there was some times where I was frustrated because of some jobs where I thought I was the best candidate for the job, and it didn't happen that way. So I just look at it as, you know, the good Lord he was telling me no. He wasn't saying no. He was just saying not right now.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask. I can't have this interview without asking you, Coach, how big did the part play in you getting the job that you were part of the previous coaching staff? Did that play any significant part in you being selected for this job?
Well, I would say being I don't know that for sure, but I don't think it hurt that I was a part of Coach Richardson's staff. The legendary coach, Coach Pete Richardson, who coached me at Winston-Salem State, and he's the reason why I'm at Southern University, because he brought me from Winston-Salem State to Southern University, and I was fortunate enough to be there 15 years, and we were the team of the decade. We won numerous championships in the 90s. Blessed to be a part of those. So I would say the familiarity and my you know, having an imprint on those teams in the past certainly didn't hurt. I don't know if it helped, but I know it didn't hurt.
Okay, Coach.
You know, and for some of our listeners who may not know who Pete Richardson is a graduate of University of Dayton. He played professional football for the Buffalo Bills. He's also my high school coach, and then he left and went down to Winston-Salem, where he coached Terrence as well. And then he got the job at Southern University, 17 seasons and only one losing record. You know, sometimes I say he still should be coaching, but I guess he kind of walked away. So, and he's won several championships. And Terry, I don't think Eddie Robinson ever beat him.
No, he's the only coach to be undefeated versus the legendary Coach Eddie Robinson.
Yeah, I think he won like seven Bayou Classics in a row.
Yeah, he was undefeated versus Coach Rob.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so obviously you have if he coached you in college and you were doing my research, I know he brought you to Southern as a GA and you worked through the ranks and eventually became the defensive coordinator. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I went from a graduate assistant. I was a graduate assistant for one semester. And Coach called me in the office in the spring of '95, and I thought he was calling me in the office about my refund check. And I found out I was the linebackers coach. So, you know, I got that check and my refund check. And then I went from that, the linebackers coach, to special teams coordinator, to recruiting coordinator, the co-defensive coordinator, to defensive coordinator, and then I moved on after that. I finished up here as the defensive coordinator under Coach Richardson.
Now, Coach, with that being said, having those close ties to Pete Richardson and what he means to the Southern fan base, right? He set some pretty high expectations for the, you know, let's not say expectations. Let's use the word standards. He set some pretty high standards for Southern football. It became one of the blue blood programs in HBCU football. You know, and I just have to ask you this in a direct way, Coach. How will you deal with the expectations of the Southern fan base? And is it a certain amount of pressure that you're under being the Southern head coach now?
Well, first of all, the standard that's set is the same standard I played under at Winston-Salem State University. When I was there, I was there for 3 years after I transferred, and we played in 3 straight championship games. And they had already played in, I forget how many championship games prior. So I understand the legacy and the know-how and the greatness of Coach Richardson. And then when he came to Southern and did what he did, what I'm going to do is not try to walk in his shoes, but walk in my own shoes. But I'm going to utilize him to help me to accomplish the goals that we're going to set forth in the program. And of course, it's always to graduate students and win championships and make great men. So I think I have the blueprint or a blueprint, give or take a tweak here or there to be successful. Now, pressure is going to always be there. Pressure, I mean, you know, it was pressure being a coach, an assistant coach, an assistant head coach. Now it's pressure being the head coach of the program. But at the same token, when you're walking in your calling, there's gonna always be pressure, but you got something that can help you deal with that pressure.
Yeah. Well, Coach, let me ask you how, taking an overview, and you, of course, you came from a GA all the way up, and looking at the SWAC in the last 25 years, most conferences kind of circulate their coaches. You know, I guess, how did you feel when Deion jumped in? There were several more other guys who jumped in and just kind of what I would say was skip the line. How did that make you feel?
Well, I wasn't overjoyed by it. I understood it. I know it happened one time before, at a time before when the Alabama State and A&M hired the Coach Cooper and Coach Dickerson back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't overjoyed about it, but at the same token, I understood that was a decision that they made and what they wanted to do behind it. I will tell you, it was a part that was frustrating because not just for me, but I look at a lot of the coaches. I think there's a perception that needs to be corrected. A lot of times, coaches that coach at HBCUs, we don't coach at HBCUs because we can't coach anywhere else. We choose to coach at HBCUs. And if we were up under people who taught us or, really pushed us to say, hey, I want you to go, get good in this, learn all you can learn, prepare yourself so when the old regime steps down, you all are ready to take over the reins and keep it going forward. And I think sometimes we're taken for granted, we're underappreciated, or we are put in a box. And a lot of times people say, well, they're career HBCU coaches. We need to think outside the box. We need something fresh. But the thing is, if that's what we've chosen to do and we work and prepare for that, then I think that we should be appreciated and given those opportunities. Now, of course, the universities have the right to hire who they want, but I think it's kind of it's a little hypocritical when you take a young coach or young coaches and you train them for a profession, and then when they get prepared and qualified to do the jobs, then they get overlooked because now that's all they've been doing all their lives. And again, a lot of us choose to do it. For me personally, I've chosen to stay in HBCUs. I've had opportunities to coach on every level, and I've turned those jobs down because this is what I choose to do. This is what I love. I love the culture. I love building and molding the young men that come to our HBCUs. So that's why I do it. And I think it's a lot of other coaches who are whether they've been doing it 31 years like me or 25 or 20 years, I think those coaches are deserving. And I don't think that we, take that stigma off of us as recycle. They love to use the term recycle. My thing is when people outside of athletics, when they go from job to job to job, from company to company to company, are they considered recycled? So don't put a label or stigma on us because we choose to do something that we love to do.
Bringing the recycle argument, I ain't gonna say argument though, but I'll say the notion is, and you somewhat helped dispel that notion of a guy who's been a career assistant and then he gets a promotion. The notion is that in other professions, right, some men are elevated in their youth. They've been in the business 5 years, maybe 10 years. And they say, what do you say to people who say, well, if you're any good, you wouldn't have had to wait 30 years to become a head coach? What would you say to someone who had that mindset or philosophy?
Again, I could have been a head coach 6 years after I became a full-time coach. I was a finalist for a head coaching job in the SIAC. So I've had coaching opportunities in the SWAC. I've had opportunities to coach in the SIAC, CIAA. There's been opportunities, and not just those HBCU conferences. But I chose to stay at Southern University or the other universities where I coach because rather than just go and take a job for the sake of being a head coach, I'll give you an example. If I'm in a conference where the scholarship numbers, and we'll talk about the FCS level, so we get 63 scholarships, correct? So
yes,
if I'm in a conference that that they play with 63 scholarships, and a school wants to hire me as a coach, and they only offer 40 scholarships, and you can have 13 coaches, but I only can get 4 full-time coaches. I can only have a strength and conditioning coach with no assistant. I can only have $15,000 to $20,000 as a recruiting budget. Now, do I take that job and say, man, this is my shot, I'm gonna be a head coach, I can show them that I can do it? Or do I am I realistic and say, I can't coach that good? I don't know a coach that can take a situation like that and win consistently, because guess what? The expectations are they want you to win and compete against those other schools in your conferences that have the resources. And then when you can't because you're shorthanded, then you can't coach. So why put myself in that situation for the sake of just saying I'm a head coach? There's an old saying, just because you put a go-kart in the garage, don't make it a Cadillac.
Right.
And you bringing up something that I think is something sometimes us fans and analysts who are outside the coaching profession sometimes don't understand, that all jobs aren't created equal.
Correct.
Well, one of the things
Coach Cole's done a great job of explaining the challenges, each job, especially in the HBCU realm, come with its own unique set of challenges, and you have to possess the skill set, the willpower, and also the work ethic to be willing to overcome whatever those obstacles are.
Yeah, one of the things Coach said, Del Rocky, is back when we were players, they had coaches that been at these schools for 10 to 15 years, head coaches. Like Bill Hayes trained at Pete Richardson. You know what I mean? Eddie Robinson trained Doug Williams and them. But what has happened to me in the last 20 years, you can correct me, Grace, is that we've been interchanging so many coaches and hiring guys from outside that we don't get lost on guys. Grace, I made a statement last week. Look back 20 years of guys who won a championship. All of them are on the shelf. From Melvin Spears to me, they're on the shelf. They should be somewhere on somebody's staff to make sure that they help training somebody because they've been in that seat. But for some reason, we go outside. We're one of the few, if not the only conference, who really go outside. I remember when I was coaching at Southern, I remember Louisiana Lafayette and Monroe, they just switch coaches. You go from one school to the next. You know?
But they don't call them recycle.
Well, right. They won't call them
recycle. Look at major college football. Tell me how many coaches in major college football that have not been to 2 or more schools. Yeah. You know, all those jobs that open up, but it always seems to be, and I don't have a problem with it because I'm like, hey, you want the best guys, but you look at all those schools that open up and it's the same or almost the same coaches all the time. It was the same coaches all the time, but that's what they do. But the stigma is not on them. It's the stigma that's on the coaches at our school.
You brought up a very interesting point, Coach Graves, and this is something that doing research, like I say, I've been following the SWAC for 4 years, Coach, so I don't have the historic perspective that many SWAC fans have and that you coaches have, right? And what I will say is, Coach, back in the in the 90s, when Pete Richardson was winning championships and you were the defensive coordinator on some of those teams, if you were outside HBCU, one of those schools would have grabbed you and hired you as their head coach because that's what they do outside of HBCU football, right? They take a guy that's part of a successful program, whether he's the OC or the DC. They don't care if the school is down the street or 100 miles away or across the country. They say, hey, Coach Graves is the DC on the championship team. Let's hire him to be our coach here. And in my opinion, if it does nothing else, it takes a resource from that championship school. For whatever reason, I've watched 12 different hires since I've been in the SWAC, 12, right? And not one time did they take an assistant coach off of a championship staff. Yeah. What can you explain why is that or
If I knew the answer to that, I would tell you to go get you a Powerball or Mega Million ticket because you about to be a rich man.
but that's one of the things that I noticed because again, my only reference point is Power 5, Group of 5 football. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I come in this space, I'm looking for instance, when Grambling comes open, right? Mm-hmm. And the Grambling job comes open after Deion's first season as head coach. Why wouldn't Grambling look at the DC or the OC at Jackson State at the time for their potential head coach? They didn't. They went and hired a guy that was completely foreign to HBCU football, installed him, and I believe Coach Jackson did some good things, but he was foreign to the culture, and I think, that doesn't help when you come into something that is very different, I'll say, as an HBCU football. But I will say this, Coach Graves, and I'll move on. I will say this. I think Deion coming into the space has made SWAC fans and SWAC school administrators very impatient. So it's created a lot of opportunities for guys like you to finally get their opportunity to be a head coach, because your predecessor, he wasn't given long to turn things around in Southern, and before you were selected as the head coach. Will you be on the same time clock as your predecessor, Coach Graves?
I can't answer that. All I can tell you is this. My job is to win those football games and graduate those young men. So if I'm doing a great job doing that, I think my chances of being here will be good. So I understand what my job is, and we're gonna do our best to make sure that we make the Southern University Jaguar Nation very proud.
Well, let me ask you about the team. How is the boys doing? I mean, y'all had a shake-up, and did you lose some to the portal or some trying to transfer out? How's the team? Where do you think the team is at?
Well, that was devastating when they got the news, and guys were naturally upset. Coaches, we as coaches were upset. And then when I got named the interim, we met and I gave them 48 hours. I said, hey, we got 48 hours to feel how we're going to feel. And then we got to get back on the horse and we got to go to work because we got a game to play. And those guys, they locked in. And those guys, I said, I need to know who's all in. If you 10 toes down, put the 10 up. And those guys put the 10 up and they was 10 toes down. So we that's what we rode on. And those guys did a great job of preparation. Those guys did a great job of coming together. We had some guys enter the portal, after that a few weeks because, we were going through the process of who was going to be the coach. And I think that some guys didn't know. Some of those guys didn't know who the coach was going to be. So that was kind of alarming. It was kind of a caution flag for them. So we had some guys enter the portal, and then we had some guys that decided to do other things. But for the most part, the spirit of the team is really good. And when we did a team Zoom call because, the students are out of school. So we did a team Zoom. And when A.D. Banks announced that I was going to be the head coach, I mean, it was pandem. Those guys went bananas. The first thing they say, Coach, put your hat on. Because, they like the way I wear my hat. So I'm sitting there like, I don't have a hat. They were like, Coach, go get the hat. So I had to get up in my office and go get my hat and put my hat on. I put it on straight at first, and they was like, no, you got to put it on. So I turned it and put the hat on. They was like, that's our coach right there. That's our coach. So it's been good. It's been really good.
Well, I'll tell you what, watching the game, and I seen you made your first head coaching change. I know maybe you had some drawback, but it seemed like you switched quarterbacks or something like that. You played the other guy, and the guy played very well.
Yeah, I did the same thing 2 years ago when I was up north at the other school. And it was nothing personal. My thing is I wanted to play, and I told the coaches the thing that we wanted to do, we wanted to give ourselves the best chance to win the game. And Noah had been chomping at the bit. I think he had deserved the right to have the opportunity to play. He gave us a different dimension. I don't know if they probably didn't prepare for him. So, and I didn't release who the starting quarterback was going to be until right before the game. I didn't say anything about who the starter was going to be. Our practices were closed, so nobody had an idea of who the starter was going to be. So they saw both guys out there warming up, as business as usual. So, and then when we, came out and 15 played, I thought he did a good job, other than the one pick six that he threw. But outside of that, I thought he played a really good game. And it was advantageous for us because at the end of the day, Johnny, my goal was to win it because I wanted those guys. To leave off the field as champions, and we were able to accomplish that. And that's hats off to the players. That's hats off to the coaches and the support staff. Everybody did a great job of accomplishing the goal that we set forth.
Hey, Coach, I see we got all kinds of Southern people in this live, Coach. But I want to encourage everybody to like the stream. Also, go if you're watching on off script, go down to the description, click our channel, and please subscribe to our channel, man. We definitely appreciate it. We have Coach Graves, the new head coach of Southern University, on our live, and we want to thank him, Coach. But I gotta ask, there's a few questions that these Southern fans want to ask. One, what will your staff look like going forward?
It'll be, we'll have some coaches that will remain. I know some coaches, at the time during the transition, I said to the coaches, I said, hey guys, I'm not sure I'm going to be the head coach. So if you know, like I know, you need to be networking and reaching out to people, because I was doing the same thing. I wasn't just sitting on my hands waiting to see if I was going to get the job. I was networking and calling people. I said, hey, listen, I don't know if I'm going to get the job or not, but just in case, if I don't get the job, if I'm not retained, if you have something available, keep me in mind. And I told the coaches to do the same things. And those coaches, I know coaches are, looking for other opportunities, and some may get opportunities to elevate in their career. And if that's the case, I wish them well. Kudos to them. It's always, I'm never going to be one to hold a coach back from an opportunity to advance himself career-wise. So, but it'll be a staff of a mixture of both veterans and some young coaches that are not as old, but they're great coaches. It'll be coaches that, first of all, are great character guys. They're great teachers, great recruiters, and they're great men. I think that's important. You got to have guys that are great men to so important to the lives of these young men. So it'll reflect, the staff will reflect me. So that's what we can look. That's what they should look forward to.
Coach, there probably has to be contract signed and things of that nature before you can officially announce. Is there anybody on the staff that you can officially announce that will be a part of it?
Well, I'll release the staff, the entire staff, when everybody's on board.
Okay. All right, Coach. We also had some questions about some guys who entered to transfer portal and what your philosophy will be about those guys. Will they have an option to return if they entered the transfer portal?
Well, some of those guys are coming back. Some of the guys are in the transfer, and I think sometimes the transfer portal, which, that's today's college athletics. So I don't, you can get all up in arms and upset about it, but that's what it is. So you got to recruit your team that you have, and then you still got to recruit players to add to your team. So that's how we're looking at it. Some of those guys that are in the transfer portal were not on the team, and that's the thing that you also have to be mindful of. Guys that are at your school, they can get in the portal, and it may look like that there are guys on the team that got in the portal, but some of the guys weren't even on the team. So, that's the only thing about the portal that I really don't like, is because, anybody can enter the portal, whether they were on the team or not. So the perception may look like a lot of guys got in the portal or what have you, but in all actuality, it was only a few.
Well, one thing I did notice, Coach, is that by my count, there were less than 20 players that entered the portal from Southern University after Coach Dooley was dismissed. And that was surprising to me, that it was only 20 players that entered the portal. Now, you bring up a very good point. Some of those 20, the names that I recognize, had either not been part of this year's team or they had been part of previous teams, but they weren't part of the current team, right? So those guys weren't. But right. Anybody would say, let's say this, if anybody was part of the 2023 version of the Southern Panthers who entered the portal because Coach Dooley was, for whatever reason, will they be allowed to come back is what they're asking.
Oh yeah, there's some guys that entered the portal for whatever reasons, and
There was
most of them got in.
There was a baller that I saw that entered the portal, a defensive guy, and I'm sure he would like, you know, if you could get him back, I'm sure you guys would welcome him with open arms. I won't name him, but he's a baller.
Oh yeah, he's a baller. He's a baller. And I'm smiling because I mean, hey, we good.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
Okay, Coach. Hey, Coach. Last thing, if there's anything you like to say to the Southern fan base and the HBCU family and the SWAC family before we let you go.
Well, first of all, I just want to tell the Jaguar Nation once again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to lead such a great program, the Southern University Jaguar football program. Everything has been wonderful. Ever since I returned last year in 21, it's been a great reception. I appreciate the support. I'm going to actually call on you all to help me, to help this program continue to be great. I would also encourage the HBCU fan base, alumni in general, is to really appreciate your coaches that you have that are committed and doing a great job at your institutions. You know, you have an opportunity to go, you have an opportunity to hire who you want, but sometimes what you're looking for is right in your face. And, you know, everybody, you know, they always say, you know, the grass is green on the other side, but you got to be careful because that grass on the other side might be field turf. So appreciate what you have and, you know, work and help those guys do a great job. Because again, it's guys like myself that's been doing this 31 years. As Johnny said, I'm an HBCU graduate, a two-time HBCU graduate, and a young man who grew up around HBCU football, who aspired, that dreamed about being a Coach Robinson, a Coach Richardson, a Coach Merritt, a Coach Gaither, you know, the list goes on and on. Coach Billy Joe, you know, I aspired to be like those coaches. Worked and prepared to have the opportunity, this opportunity to lead such a storied program. So don't look at us as guys just hanging on to a job or guys just satisfied of being there. You got guys like myself that are committed. You got a lot of great coaches in HBCUs who can go other places, but choose to be at our places. So when we do well, we understand when we don't do well what we're going to get. But then when we do well, appreciate us, you know, appreciate us and celebrate us, because we can handle we can handle when we're not doing well. You know, we can handle that's to be expected. But also appreciate us and celebrate us when we are doing well, because we want to be here. We want to coach our own and our culture.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we're gonna be calling you now. You know, okay. I'm gonna choke you when I see you. No, I'm just you know, we were young, we were youngsters together in this business called football.
Yes, so, indeed. Yes, indeed.
We're gonna be watching you, and we're gonna be following you, man. And just to let you know, this is the type of show that we want to, you know, uplift guys like yourself. I mean, we had Mickey Joseph on last week, and now he's a head coach at Grambling. So this is what this show is about, man. We talk about real stuff, real people, real problems in HBCU. Believe me, you know, I've been at 5 different black colleges and coached there as well. So I've seen it all different kind of ways. Yeah. But I appreciate you giving us your time.
Hey, Coach, we're a good luck charm for head coaches in the SWAC. We had Mickey one week. We had you scheduled the next week, and then we had a miscommunication and a hiccup. Yeah. But you and Mickey came out, delivered the goods, and so I want to say that I would like to think that we had a part in that, Coach.
Y'all helped us out, and Mickey and I coached together.
2-0.
Really?
Yeah, we coached together at Grambling.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're way back, and I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for all the coaches that are you know, head coaches and doing what they're doing. And I want to say thank you to you all, because we do need a platform like this for everyone to get to know who we are, how we think, because a lot of times people don't know, or they're silenced, or they're calculated on what they have to say because of the repercussions and things of that nature. But I thank you all for giving us this platform and this panel, and hopefully what it will do, it will give the fans, administrations, everyone an opportunity to see who we are and what we're all about, and to open up doors for other coaches.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
hey, Coach, before you go, this is the last question, I promise, Coach. Because people have put this, if I see quarterback in this chat one more time, I'm going to pull my hair out and I ain't got none. So, Coach, I'm going to ask you this question on behalf of all these people. Is the quarterback competition open?
All positions are open. All positions are open. Everyone must earn the right to start. Everyone. Nobody has a starting job. So all positions are open.
Yeah. Well, good. Good.
All right, Coach. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Coach. And we'll let you go, man. And thank you so much. You've been very gracious with your time, and I look forward to talking to you again, Coach.
All right, thank you. Go Jags.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was my first time meeting Coach Graves. And Coach Cole, he's everything you said he was, Coach.
Yeah.
He's an upbeat, positive guy, and he's a good interview, man. Really good interview. And hey, I thought he was gonna be a quiet guy, Coach, but ain't none of those coaches quiet.
Johnny, I'm on. Okay, is he on? Is Curtis on? Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, he is. He is.
You got me backstage.
Yeah, we got. Okay.
Good.
Now we had another featured guest today. This man is no stranger to HBCU football. He's absolutely a broadcast legend, a cable broadcast Hall of Famer. He is the man that is responsible for bringing HBCU football to your television with BET. It's none other than the great broadcaster himself, Curtis Simon.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm doing a little mystery here on my cell phone in a car, so I'm hoping you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can, sir.
Yeah, you can turn on this.
How you guys doing tonight?
We doing great. We doing great. I want to thank you for your patience. We had Mr. Simon scheduled for 9:30 or Eastern, and he hung on with us because Coach Graves ran a little long. But I want to thank you for your patience, sir. But when I saw that Coach Cole had booked you for an interview this evening, I was very excited to get some insight into let the people, because I read thoroughly up on what you were able to do in broadcasting. But before we get started, can you kind of explain to the people who is Curtis Simon?
Well, Curtis Simon is a gentleman who grew up in Wilberforce, Ohio, and attended Central State University. Graduated in 1978. My mother worked there for 40 years as a physical education teacher. My dad worked there for 50. And I've been in the media business now for about 40 years plus, through running a cable system, working for ESPN for 8 years, and then 14 years of Black Entertainment Television. So I've had a great mixture of opportunities over my years, and also ran the WNBA Washington Mystics as the president for 2 years. So I've had a chance to really, really bounce around a lot in the media business and the sports entertainment side. So HBCU Go has been my puppy, and now we're kind of building a platform that I think is going to be very exciting for our consumers down the road.
So HBCU Go has a deal with the SWAC. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a 10-year deal. The goal, Byron Allen bought HBCU Go 2 years ago. And so the goal of the starting out was saying we needed to get all the black conferences under our belt to really have a good business. So we have a 10-year deal with the SWAC. We have a 10-year deal with the CIAA. We're finishing up a 10-year deal with SIC. We're working on trying to get a 10-year deal with the MEAC by next summer. So we're kind of definitely working and getting closer every day.
So if I'm correct in doing my research, you guys have the secondary rights to the SWAC. Is that correct?
That's exactly, you're right on point. You know, ESPN has the first rights and then we have the second rights after they do their picks.
What exactly does that mean if somebody didn't understand first rights and second rights?
Well, what happens is that all the conferences give ESPN a football schedule of games that they have. ESPN goes through that schedule and picks the games that they want. Once they pick the games that they want, the conferences bring them back to us, and then we have the opportunity to pick the games we want. Now, we've kind of changed the game a little differently and changed the landscape because, number one, we started this year doing doubleheaders in black college football. We did doubleheaders in black college basketball. And now we're getting really involved in doing classics and homecomings, which has really kind of picked us up tremendously over the last 2 years.
Now, is it possible that y'all can so once they pick a game, you cannot show it on HBCU TV Go?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Now, how would I get HBCU TV Go?
You can get it a few ways. Number one, let me give you our television options. We're a very unique business because we sell our games in syndication, which means you can be picked up on broadcast channels across the country. And this year, for example, we were in 75% of television households in syndication, 85% of African-American households. We also are carried on our sister channel, the Griot, as a linear cable channel. And then you have another outlet with HBCU Go. So you're really on 3 different channels carrying HBCU Go sports.
Oh, that's cool. So you're now just to see, just to explain the impact of what you're doing, how many homes had access to HBCU football prior to you guys coming on board with the SWAC?
Well, they had zero. In the 2 years we've now been with the SWAC, we're in about 109 million homes now across the country, adding up television, cable, and digital.
So let me ask you this: so you say ESPN selects the games that a schedule is submitted by a certain date, right?
Right.
Is the date before the season?
Yes. The date is normally sometime in March. They'll pick their games for football, for example, and then they pick their games for basketball in September. And then we pick up the games right after that.
Well, if I could add some, and I know you in your transition, but maybe in the future that we can get some of these former coaches, as analysts, on the sideline, as if the PWIs do or the NFL do, that where they take coaches, that have coached before in HBCU. And is that something down the line that we can look forward to?
Yeah, that's something that we're working on. Hopefully we want to develop that. Yes, Johnny, because of the fact that, we're trying not to warehouse games. So we're trying to figure out ways in which we pick, like, for example, out of 60 games for the SWAC and football, ESPN takes 20, we take 10 or 11. So that still means there's like 30 games out there that we have. So now what we're trying to do is figure out other outlets to be able to run these games. And then that opens up the door for what you're talking about, adding different commentators and anything and analysts to cover the games.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Simon. Do you guys have your own what I've been watching it. I watched HBCU Go the first year and I watched it some this past year.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Do you use your own production companies to broadcast the game? Because the quality of the production the first year was absolutely outstanding, right? I'm really haven't watched enough, the second year to really make an evaluation. But I noticed that the quality was outstanding. So I was wondering, do you guys have your own production company that broadcasts the games, or do you guys use third-party production companies?
Yeah, we use third-party production folks, but we have our own folks that are doing producing and directing. And so the truck is always a third party, but we have a lot of our camera people. We work with another group that helps us out on it. And that's what's raised our level, as far as the quality. And the thing that we wanted to make a case on is that we want to deliver as much quality programming as you said in the first year. I mean, now people go to our channel and realize that we're raising the level of the quality. I mean, we're competing with the ESPNs, the NBCs, the CBS, and all that as far as sports. And so it's quality stuff all the way around. And it's even bigger because we're doing a lot of different things. Because one of the things that we're driving, especially the HBCU circle, that many other networks who try to do HBCU stuff, is we're driving more than culture. We show the bands. A lot of people don't show the bands. We show a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff before the game, all the barbecuing and all that stuff going on, which a lot of people don't show on it. So the culture is very, very important because to me, that's the thing that's really the highlight of Black college sports.
Let me ask you this. This is another broadcasting question. One of the things that I find kind of difficult sometimes catching all the SWAC games is they usually don't have a staggered starting schedule. Is
Right.
that something you've addressed with the conference to kind of make broadcasting games more advantageous for the viewer? Like I think if there was an 11 o'clock game sometime in the SWAC or something like that, it would be great to watch an 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock SWAC game and then catch a SWAC game from 2:30 to 5 o'clock or something like that.
We're definitely looking at how we can make it more consumer friendly. One of the things that we're putting together with all the commissioners, I'm creating a commissioners tour. Where I'm going to see all the commissioners from SWAC all the way down to SISA, CIAA, and we're going to try to work on exactly what you're talking about. Work on times, work on trying to get more butts in the seats, work on ways where we can be very, very competitive as far as what the crowd and what the times look like. So yes, it's definitely something in the warehouse that we're looking at for sure.
Now, Curtis, what can you tell our audience, because we have a large audience, on how can we as African Americans help build this up, because this is ours. We take ownership. What can you tell our fan base?
Well, I mean, I think it's very similar, Johnny, on how I was able to get BT get involved with the consumers and really get everything starts with the grassroots. The more you can talk about it, more you guys are talking about on your channel with the number of people who are listening to you guys on a daily basis, that helps us tremendously because then it makes it more advantageous for people to chime in. But it's really about the grassroots. We work with social media. We're on all the campuses now, trying to push it. So at alumni, we're trying to really work all the ways. We're touching that audience and try to definitely set a label that, hey, this is something you need to watch and support.
And okay, next question would be: are you considering building any programming around HBCU sports and HBCU football, whether it be a pregame show, postgame show, maybe a weekly, talk show or something like that discusses the action that happens within the SWAC and MEAC and HBCU
I mean,
football?
that's certainly something we want to do. I mean, I always tell people all the time, we're in our second year of this network, really getting it fully blown out, and certainly we're missing a lot of things right now because we can't do everything for everybody. And then it's always, it comes down to your budget, what you can do and what you can't do. So yes, those are some of the things that in the future building up we want to do. I want to do a game day type show around all college football and basketball and other sports. I want to have a weekly show on the network that talks about HBCU Circle. Would like to talk with you guys down the road on creating some podcast work that we can basically do on a regular basis talking about HBCUs. So that's something that's definitely in the works for sure.
Because I think that's one of the innovative things that ESPN did around college football is they built out a lot of programming around college and pro football and almost created a whole ecosystem of shows that supported their broadcast of NFL and college football.
No, you're exactly on point. You're exactly, and that's where we've got to. I mean, what we want to do, like for example, we're trying to be very responsive and supportive of Black College Football Foundation with Shaq and Doug Williams to get some of the retired players out and talking about the game and other things on the football side. Same what we like to look at on the basketball side and other sports. The more and more we can get some of these legends out to talk about what they did to get where they are today, the better it's going to help us as far as how we drive the network. So that's something definitely in thought for us. For sure.
Sounds good, Coach.
Well, one of the things that interested me about your story, Mr. Simon, it spans over the course of over 30 years.
Yes.
And you guys brought HBCU football. You brought HBCU football to cable television, which was unheard of when you did it. Can you just tell us a condensed story of how it was done and why, what inspired you to do it?
Well, I think what inspired me to do it was the fact that being around ESPN and BET, I was able to bring live Black College Sports to BET back in 1989. And knowing that there was a lack of exposure for Black colleges, what really drove me to try to create HBCU Go. And the fact that I felt once we could get that expose the brand, it would begin to start opening doors, which we're seeing now. I mean, for example, what I'm trying to do is build partnerships and grow the business. We just this year built a partnership with the NFL Hall of Fame, where they did the HBCU Hall of Fame game in Canton in September, where they let us simulcast that game. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. They gave us that game to air on the network. Same with the Legacy Bowl that you're doing in February with the All-Star. We have opportunity to simulcast that, through the NFL network. That's unheard of. But they realize that we're touching that HBCU audience. And that's really the key on how we're driving the business. So the more and more of those partnerships we can build, the better and better, we're going to grow. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at all the way. So, it's something that is going to take us some time, but I think we're moving in the right direction at the end of the day.
Well, it's definitely a exciting thing. Now, is it any type of charge with trying to get HBCU?
No,
to go?
No, it's free. Let me get out for it. It's free. It's free. That's the beauty of the service, is that it's not, it's not a charge. We're not ESPN Plus, where you got to pay for it to get to the network. You don't have to pay for that on that. It's automatic as far as, getting it free. And that's the beauty of it, And that's the one thing that that's what we're kind of working around ESPN on that. Hold on for a second, guys. That white card gets here. Okay. Yep. Go ahead, guys. I'm still here.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to know, I saw a press release before the season last year, where you guys partnered with some local CBS stations to broadcast the games. Of course, it just so happened that our CBS station wasn't one of your partners. So what could I do to encourage my CBS station to become a partner with HBCU Go, and how would they,
Well, I think it's the same thing on how we built BET years ago. Get the community to start calling down to the station saying, I don't seem to understand why we're not being able to carry the HBCU Go on our market. I see that it's carried in New York, LA, and other on CBS or whatever. Why is it carried in our market? Why can't you guys purchase the games and see if you can drum up some support for it?
Oh, okay,
cool. Drive it that way. I mean, the more and more you can make noise about it, the better and better we're gonna be.
Okay, that sounds like we can make that happen, huh, Rocky?
Absolutely. If it's that simple, just by calling down to the
cable
is our cable provider, or is it our cable provider, or is it the CBS station that we need to contact?
Check. Which market are you guys in? Which market are you guys in?
I'm in the Texas market. I'm Central
Arizona.
Texas.
Okay, you're in Arizona. It probably is calling both. Call the cable operator and see if they have the griot. That's what we carried on the cable side. And then and on the broadcast side, call your CBS station in the market and actually are they carrying HBCU Go on CBS? And if you can start to get that mileage taken care of, you'd be surprised how people will start getting well. I mean, years ago, man, in Arizona, for example, I was in Phoenix, and they wouldn't take BET. So I just took a bunch of people to city council and started complaining to the cable operator, which is Cox, and said, I don't understand why we don't have BT in the market. And the council people said, well, why don't we have it? I said, well, the cable operator won't put it on. And all these people that were black, that was in Phoenix, they all stood up and said, he's right. We want BT in the market. And slowly but surely, we got BT in.
Man, that sounds good there. Now, are you guys filming basketball right now? Right?
We're doing basketball right now. We're doing doubleheaders in basketball right now. Yes.
So okay. So one of the things I saw before the television is there was a game being broadcast by ESPN between Alabama State and USC, and the game was actually being played at Alabama State.
We actually, believe this or not, we actually had that game, but we couldn't sell the advertisers on it, so I had to give it away. So ESPN scooped it right up. So the SWAC gave me those games. They had like 6 non-conference games with like Arizona, USC, so all the big name schools. And they gave us the game, but my ad sales people couldn't sell it. So I had to get the games back to ESPN. Get it back to SWAC.
Wow.
And that was a big miss. That was a big miss because, a couple teams popped some teams. A couple HBCU teams popped, other schools. Which was an opportunity for us to make some big noise on what we're doing. Because they don't want to give HBCUs no credit, but they're playing some good-ass basketball and football right now.
This is a basketball man we're talking to now, Rocky. He out coaching out down in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, I'm down at Fort Myers, man, at a tournament called City of Palm. I'm glad we were able to pull this off, because I was getting a little nervous if I could do it in the arena. So I was able to do it in the car, but I'm glad it came off.
What age group is that?
This is high school.
So you take a team from Ohio?
Yeah, we took a team from, no, not Ohio, Virginia. We're in Chantilly, Virginia. It's a Catholic school. Look it up and you see it. Paul VI Catholic school. We're number 1 in the nation right now.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys gonna play? What's the school down in Florida that's big in basketball? Mount Verde.
Oh, Mount Verde. Yeah, they're in this tournament. If we get a championship, we'll probably see them in the championship.
Oh man, well that's big time. If Mount Verde is in there.
Oh yeah, they
it's big. It's a big time tournament then.
Yeah, they a monster. They a monster. So
yeah, they got about 10 guys on NBA rosters right now.
Yeah. No, they produce. Kevin Boyle's been there for years, man, and he's been producing ever since he showed up. So he has a list of guys who made it to the NBA. A list, big time. No, it's a big time tournament.
Wow.
Absolutely. Hey, Mr. Simon, I want to thank you for your time, man. You were gracious enough to wait, man, and you're welcome to stay on as long as you want. But I know you let us know that you're in the middle of coaching, and so I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us, man. And I look forward to you coming back. And
no problem, man. Stay in contact with me. And any way I can help y'all, let me know.
Absolutely. And that was Curtis Simon, the CEO.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today, we made it. It's Friday, December 22nd, 2023. Number 1. Texas Governor Greg Abbott introduced a plan this week to take on the border crisis with a new law that allows Texas state officials to arrest migrants. This week, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported record levels at the southern borders into Texas, Arizona, and California. Some 12,000 migrants traveled from Mexico into Texas Monday alone, breaking recent daily records set 2 weeks ago. The American Civil Liberties Union filed a lawsuit challenging the Abbott bill because they and other civil liberties organizations fear the profiling that will take place and increase when the bill becomes law in March of 2024. Number 2, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome H. Powell expressed his delight at the recent inflation report during an event at Spelman College, highlighting a shift in mood from the typically reserved central bank. Despite the positive indicators, Powell and others remain cautious, acknowledging potential threats such as geopolitical tensions and economic slowdowns in China. The economy's resilience and stability, however, are undeniably significant after a series of economic crises triggered by the 2020 pandemic. Number 3. Oprah Winfrey recently revealed that she's taking weight loss medication as a maintenance tool. Now, Oprah isn't alone, as last year, doctors wrote 9 million prescriptions for the medication Ozempic, which Oprah is presumed to be taking. But because you have to self-dose while on the weight loss medicine, poison centers nationwide are reporting a large uptick in calls by 1,500% and attributing some of it to patient dosing errors. Number 4. Alea Williams is the first Black transgender woman who earned a doctorate in social work in Louisiana from the historically Black university, Tulane University. In the past years, we've seen HBCUs show support for the Black trans community. Morehouse in 2019 announced it would accept transgender men following Spelman College, who announced that they would accept transgender women in 2017. Currently, there are only 5 HBCUs that have LGBTQ centers. Number 5, Patrick Whitney is the founder and CEO of American Luxury Unlimited, one of the few Black-owned luxury fragrance brands. Through offers of a unique and sophisticated selection of thoughtfully curated scents for both men and women, Whitney is realizing his dream of entrepreneurial success, focused on a commitment to quality, sustainability, and representation. Still in its infancy, Whitney's brand, American Luxury Unlimited, is making waves in just 1 year in the fragrance industry and gaining the attention of celebrities, politicians, athletes, and business leaders alike. Smells like success to me. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Life is a series of choices. Let's all choose to be personally accountable for our actions, deeds, and reactions. All right. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.